Dear brothers and sisters, good morning to everyone. Today we begin the Holy Week. We start with the Palm Sunday. And today we remember how Jesus has entered the Jerusalem. Gloriously, how Jesus has entered the Jerusalem. And so today, for our reflection, I would like to share with you two words of Jesus, or two sentences of Jesus, which he spoke from the cross. And the first sentence that he spoke from the cross is that, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Dear brothers and sisters, this sentence, the first word, is very meaningful to reflect. For example, in our family, or sometimes we also see in the movies, when someone is dying, they want to speak with the family members. They want to speak with friends. They want to say something. Sometimes the words can be happy or sad. The words can be loving or forgiving. So there are different types of feelings because they are going to die, and so they want to share or something. And this something many times is always with close friends or relatives, family members, and so on. Now, Jesus is on the cross. Very soon he is going to die. What was the first word that he spoke to? Or to whom he has addressed the first word? Jesus spoke with the very close people. But then these close people are not the family members. These close people, or the first words that he addressed, was his enemies. It is really shocking. It is really surprising. Because the first word that he spoke, "Forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they are doing." The soldiers at the cross, beneath the cross, they were thinking that Jesus would shout loudly before his death or scream loudly. The Pharisees and the scribes, they also were laughing at him. And I'm sure the Pharisees and the scribes, they still remember the teaching of Jesus. Love your enemies and pray for them. And so before the death, they want to test Jesus if Jesus really remembers his own teaching. Love your enemies and pray for them. So before the death, let us see if he still remembers. To everybody's surprise, Jesus never forgot the teaching. It was a prayer. He said, "Forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." It was a prayer for his enemies. It was a prayer of forgiving. It was a beautiful prayer that Jesus spoke. Now we are talking about enemies. Why they are enemies, or who are those enemies? We can say that the soldiers, because in front of Caiaphas, before the judgment, they were beating Jesus. And Pilate, because he unjustly treated Jesus. And then there are always the Pharisees and the scribes and so on. These are the enemies, we can say, because they do not know actually what they are doing. And Jesus understood this one. And therefore he had pity for them, and he understood their situation, and he still remembers his own teaching, love your enemies and pray for them. And so finally he again started praying, "Forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." So it was ignorance They were ignorant or they do not know, so it was the ignorance that saved them. And the second word that Jesus spoke was with the criminal on his right. He said, "Today you will be with me in paradise." Jesus spoke these words to the sinner, to the repentant sinner. Now, this criminal, he knew that he deserves the punishment. He knew that he deserves the cross. And while he was on the cross, he started looking at Jesus, gazing at Jesus. He started adoring him. He started praising him. He saw something special in this person of Jesus. And when he saw Jesus, he understood that Jesus was condemned unjustly. And he also thought that some kind of prayer, some kind of spirituality and so on. So for the first time in his life, he started praying. And also this was his last prayer. He said, "Remember me in your kingdom." And it was the first and the last prayer, and the first time he knocked the door, the first time he looked for God, the first time he begged the Lord, and he got everything. Jesus also knew that very soon he is going to die, but before the death, he was ready to save one criminal, to forgive one criminal. Now, this is the forgiveness of God. Many times, according to our judgment, we say that he should not be forgiven. But then the mercy of God, the forgiveness of God is much bigger, and the love of God is much broader. And both the hands of Jesus were nailed to the cross, but he was able to open the doors of heaven. He was able to open the doors of heaven not to a saint, but a criminal. This is the mercy of God. And Jesus in the gospel said, "I tell you, whenever there is someone who repents, there will be more joy in heaven." So, dear brothers and sisters, as we begin the Holy Week, I request all of you to read the Gospel of Luke chapter 22 and 23 and meditate upon the suffering, the cross and death of Jesus. This is our prayer, this is our meditation for this week, and surely we will understand also the meaning of cross in our daily lives. I assure you my prayers during this week, and let us hope that very soon we will have the blessing of coming back to the church. God bless you all.